Brother Paul, what is your opinion on speaking in tongues? Does it still happen today? And if so, what form? But before you answer that question probably should be asked, what does the Bible say about speaking in tongues? So we'll pose that question like that. What does the Bible say about speaking in tongues? Does it still happen today? And if so, in what form?
First of all, if we go to Ephesians chapter 2, we understand that the church was built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets. Now, that's very, very important. It's talking about something that ceased. Are there apostles today like the 12? No. It's the faith that once and for all has been handed down to the saints. Is there a prophetic word that's still laying the foundation for the church? No. And so we recognize here with two of the most gifted men, or offices, whatever you might want to call them, that they have ceased. We know that, and almost everyone across the board acknowledges that. So we can expect that there could be other changes in more minor gifts. Now, we could sit here all day and argue about, have tongues ceased? You know, we could go to 1 Corinthians, tongues will cease. We can argue about what that's talking about exactly. But I think the best thing to do is simply to define what tongues were. What were they? The book of Acts is the example of tongues. And what were tongues? Real phonetic languages. Now, when we go into 1 Corinthians from 11 to 14, people say, well, that's a different kind of tongue. I don't see any grounds for saying that at all. I do not believe that it's talking about a prayer language or sounds that have no phonetic value whatsoever. So the real issue comes down to what is tongues. And I believe tongues were the speaking of a language, a real human language. Now I want to think about it for a moment. If all of a sudden, and I don't want to make fun, but if all of a sudden I just started saying over and over, I think she rode a Honda, I think she rode a Honda. There's no proof of a miracle there. But if all of a sudden someone began to speak in a language, a true human language of phonetic value like we see in Acts chapter 2, people would be amazed that it was a sign, that it was actually a miracle. And we do not, even among those who claim to speak in a language or in a prayer language, it has no phonetic value, it has no rationale, it basically sounds like gibberish, there is no sign of a miracle. And one of the things that I have found in common is that people who go to the same church who speak in tongues seem to speak in the kind of the same rhythm and make the same sounds. So I believe that tongues was a real human language. And it has ceased because we see that no one is doing that.
Amen. Thank you.